some of the other band members. I know Sharon isn't actually a band member, but they're part of an offshoot band, and I know that she's had a variety of careers. I know that some of the other ladies that were part of that offshoot group have had a number of careers, and I know that some of the other bandmates have other jobs as well. But in terms of the success, like you said, you've gone up to people that remember playing at you playing at their wedding 20 or 25 years ago. So y'all have had a long history. So I was just wondering, what do you think is the reason for that success?
Well, I'll tell you, the thing about Liquid Pleasure is the fact that it touches generations. To be honest with you, Liquid Pleasure played for me twice when I was in junior high school.
Wow.
And I ended up getting in Liquid Pleasure after I got to Central, but they actually played for me twice in junior high school. And the thing about it is, what the secret of Liquid Pleasure is, one, too caught up in the thing of saying we're musicians. We do understand that we're musicians, but we're more so entertainers. We try to be the best entertainers we can. We try to make everybody feel welcome on our stage, not so much as don't come on stage. We encourage people to come on stage. We played for a father, then we ended up playing for his son, then we ended up playing for his son's kids. So it's like generations. And the situation of people recognizing us from a standpoint of legendary, almost to the standpoint like Doug Clark and the Hot Nuts. That's just something that becomes such a fabric. And the three members, the original members that are still present in the band, which is Kenny Mann, Melvin Farrington, and Leonard Hackney, those are three originals that have been there the longest. It's very hard in the music business to maintain a core. Very hard. Because usually something happen and you'll get an offshoot and somebody will lead a group. I mean, even the Embers aren't the original Embers anymore because Jackie Gore left. Chairman of the board, they started to split. Liquid Pleasure has always been a group that has sustained itself and stayed together. And it's about one of the things that those three core people decided is that they didn't want to be like any regular band that would say, we're just going to pay you the salary and give you money, you come to the performance, you do that, that's all it's going to be. They started looking at the longevity of the situation years and years ago, the way they said, you know what, we don't want to be that story where you see a musician that has performed all these years and have really nothing to show for it, because musician money and regular people's money is two different things. You take a musician that's playing, and you say $100, I'm gonna pay you $200, and he might look at you and kind of laugh. He's like, I'm not going nowhere for $200. You got to pay me at least $3 or $4. You take a regular person, they would be like, yeah, I'll do that. But a musician's money is so fast. You might one night. When I was playing with Liquid Pleasure, I could average, which is different than when I left and I started working for state. But I averaged easily close to like over $1,000 a week.
Wow.
And that was just play. I mean, most of it I didn't have nothing. I was just kind of living with my parents at the time, and I just enjoyed the money, just going for it, just enjoying it, spending. And the guys pulled me to the side on all the spending, man. You got to, what about tomorrow? What you going to do tomorrow? I said, tomorrow? What you mean? It's like not tomorrow, but later on in your life. What are you going to do? Because you're spending money, man, like you're going crazy. So what they did, they said, you know what, this is what we're going to do. They said, if you stay in this band for about 5 or 6 years, that this is what we're going to do for each other as a band. And it shows you how that core works. They said, we're going to give each member $10,000 to get a house. Buy land. You got to use the money for a house. And give $10,000. You don't have to pay it back. It's going to give each person $10,000. Get a land, however you want to do it. It's got to be for a house. And they gave me And our plan is that we were going to go out and buy a lot of different properties, a lot of different land, and build houses so that we got older and didn't feel like being on the road as much. We got this cushion in which to support us when we slow down a little bit, because Father Time wins every time.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't run like that all the time. It don't work like that. And we did it. We got in a little issues, but financially at a point, and we had to utilize that to get us out of it. But at least we had a plan that helped us, and it kept us all on our feet. But no mistake about it, I've played with Liquid Pleasure for over 20-something years. And I've only been, and it sustained me, I've only been with the Department of Corrections for 8. But for the rest of that time, I was a full-time musician. I had no other job. It was just Liquid Pleasure. And it took care of, it sustained, it took care of everything. And with the people that are in there now, the 3 core members, the bass player, Melvin Turrington, they don't have any man. They don't have other jobs full-time. Any of the other members that have if they can have a part-time job, which I don't see that possible, and play with Liquid Pleasure every night, because they're still averaging at least 3 or 4 shows a week, and sometimes 2 or 3 in a day. So the secret to Liquid Pleasure is, one, they believe in establishing more than just a band. They become that friend that you know. That it becomes more than that, because see, people will think of reasons to have a party to support a friend when it's more than just a business thing. You know, if it's my kid's 21st birthday, let's get Liquid Pleasure. If it's my, such and such, I just had such and such happen to me, I want to get a band, I want to celebrate, let's get Liquid Pleasure. We played for the Baltimore Ravens when they won the Super Bowl.
You hear that, Dean? Dean's a big Baltimore Ravens fan.
I sure did.
We played for them when they won the Super Bowl. I got a chance to hold the Super Bowl trophy. The owner of the Baltimore Ravens at the time, when he got ready to retire, he was like, I want y'all to play for my retirement. He was like, we can't. He was like, what do you mean we can't? He was like, well, we got to play in Savannah. No, it was Charleston. We got to do the bridge run the next day. And it was like, there's no way we can play for you in Baltimore and get there in time to play that next morning, because it started real early. It was like, there's no way we can't do it. He said, oh, yeah, there's a way. It was like, no, it really isn't. He's like, yeah, it is. He said, what you'll do, you'll finish playing for me, you'll get on my G5, and we'll fly you there. So we flew on his personal jet. He flew us to our next job. But that's somebody that he could have had any band that he wanted. But he chose Liquid Pleasure, and that wasn't because of just being a good band. That was because it was a little bit more to it than just a band. It was like family. We're more like family to the people that we work for, we play for. We don't play for their wedding. We're invited to their wedding. We just happen to be entertained while we're there. But most of them send us invitations to the wedding itself. So the success of Liquid Pleasure revolves around those 3 core members, Kenny, Melvin, and Leonard, because they've done it for years. They've endured. And that's something that you don't find with many bands normally, and especially, let's be honest, in it. Sometimes we as black men don't always, when the money starts getting involved, sometimes that can break up the best friendships, because it's like, well, you make more money now than you. They've never had that jealousy. They've always realized, and they believe in, I'm not going to just pay you a particular way. We're all going to work together. I know better. They've got kids. They're the originators of the band, but in that, they still make each member feel just as important as they are. they gave me part ownership in the band.
Wow.
I mean, they're great. They're just a great group of guys that believe in being more family-oriented and making sure that each member is taken care of. And because of it, it helps.
And Tony, you just said something that was really interesting. You just said something really interesting earlier that I just thought about, which is you were talking about how a lot of times, because I've had this even when I've done promotional stuff, whether it's MC work or even doing planning, and you were talking about how a lot of times folks will come up to you 20 or 30 years later expecting to remember, one, for you to remember the show, and two, I've even had it where they expect you to remember what's going on during the show. Now, you know, I've been involved with festival planning and as well and MCing, and I'm sitting there going like, half the time the audience has to tell me what happened out in the audience because I'm so busy running around backstage with the artists, whether that was like a buddy guy at the Blues Festival at the old ballpark or whether that was somebody like Tito that we just had at the A-Time for the Blues Festival when it was there last year. But, you know, oftentimes we're so busy running around, whether it's the other performers like y'all are with Liquid Pleasure or whether it's folks like myself that are either doing MC or planning work that, you know, I think people oftentimes think that we know, you know, minute by minute, step by step, everything that's going on. But, I mean, there have been incidents where famous folks have been in the house, and if it wasn't somebody announcing it over the walkie-talkie, you know, somebody telling me later about it, I would have no clue. Because I remember, I think one year Charles Brown was doing like one of them dances and had people dancing on the dugout at the old ballpark. Another year, one of the, not Danny DeVito, but I think it was Bill Murray. He came into the old ballpark and popped in there. But, you know, if somebody hadn't put it on the walkie-talkie, you know, Bill Murray's in the house. I sure wouldn't have known.
Right. It's amazing how quickly we, when I was in another band, before I got with Liquid Pleasure, I was in a band called Rise. And back then, we used to open up for a lot of the recording acts that would come in. We opened up for Levert when they first came out, actually. Our manager at the time, his brother used to sing for the OJs. He was the one that had passed away. And they didn't want to let us open up. Well, the club at the time was Tab Blues. They didn't want to let us open Raleigh. It's like, we're not going to hire y'all to open up for. We don't want you to whatever. So they our manager contacted Eddie Levert because they still had ties because he knew his brother. And he was like, look, I got this new band that I'm working with, and we want to open up for your son, but they're telling us no. So Eddie Levert thought Tab Blue was going to happen. He said, if you want my son to perform for you, one, you're going to let Rise open up, and two, you're going to pay him, or I'm going to pull him. And, of course, we ended up playing for him. Well, it was just to see that kind of somebody that would extend that to you. And it's sad to see now with a lot of the young artists, they didn't come up during the time of what we call the Chitlin Circus. That's where you honed your skills. Right. Now a lot of them, I think longevity is lost in them because it's quick. It's more of like the Milli Vanilli syndrome. Let's find somebody that's got a look. Not that they're going to lip sync, but let's be honest. Now they're doing more tracking and they got more. You think you're hearing the live band, and really you're hearing the tracks. So they're going to be good. Yeah. It's easy to have a good night.
And it also seems like we've gotten away from you, and you just alluded to it with the way you were describing Liquid Pleasure, but I know I've had this conversation with Bobby Hinton a long time ago, but one of the things he was always encouraging people about was the fact of trying to encourage people to understand that there's a reason it's called show business. And I think a lot of bands, both historically and definitely our young bands, they got show down all day long. But I don't know that they necessarily have business down, because a lot of times I don't know that they necessarily understand. They're kind of like some of our athletes. They know all kinds of skills on the basketball or the football field, but they don't necessarily know how to run the day-to-day business. So they will make investments, and some of these investments are, let's be honest, they're stupid investments. They're investments that are not going to be good in the long run. I mean, one of the things you just talked about with Liquid Pleasure is that y'all were buying land. So, I mean, if y'all buying a house and land, that's something that's going to be that you can pass on generation to generation. I don't know what happened with it, and I don't know. Some of you may have lost the land. Some of you may still have the land. I don't know who's got what, but I imagine that some of you